Hey everyone, welcome back. This is Mandy, and some of you were so kind about this painting from my recent bloom video. Just the way my white kept traveling. We all knew I was going to paint over it, right? So we're going to try a variation of the same colors. We're not going to do a black cell activator because I'd have to make it, and I already have a bunch of blue black that needs to be used. So we are going to, I'm not sure if it was my white cell activator causing the problem or not, but it also could be my gold because I've reactivated this gold a few times, and it may have too many drops of water, may have compromised the ability. Like if you put, I always over explain this, if you put a little bit too much water to thin your paints down, even if you mix it with Sonja or whatever, too much water is going to break down what holds your paint together. So it compromises the consistency, right? Which, I mean, that's also true of like if you have too much gloss in your base, you know? Like if what you're using is too glossy, then your stuff will wiggle when it dries, which is what I think was the issue with these paints that I messed with in the first place. So if you didn't see my last video, I think that my Aspen leaf from Colourarte and my Mocha rose were mixed up with something that was too glossy. I can't be sure. So in order to not waste them, I put a little bit of Liquitex matte gel in there just to kind of tone down the gloss, and then I mixed in a little bit more Bear Dynasty and Sonja, which is what I use for my pouring medium. By the way, I have an old mixing tutorial. I probably need to do a new one from when I used Sherwin-Williams Infinity Gold, which is still very good, and I still have some to use. It's in pretty much every description box. So if you're unfamiliar with blooms and like you know what ingredients you use and why, that's a good starting point. Just know that I no longer like mix up everything ahead of time. I used to mix like 3 parts of my untinted paint to 1 part Sonja and keep it in a thing, but it separates and then you got to remix it, and then I use so much fluid acrylic and so many pigments that it doesn't always make sense to do it that way, because I would have to use a thicker mix for 2 paints, and anyway, but it's still a good baseline. Just know that I have since adjusted a little bit. So we're using Valspar 2000 and Eggshell as a pillow. It's not my favorite. PPG Multi-Pro is probably my favorite, but I want to use up what's open. So this is Carbon Black. It's probably Colourarte. If not, it's probably Matisse. We're going to put that down on the bottom. Also, if you haven't taken the bloom course from Shelley, I mean, she is the bloom master. Can you learn the technique without the course? Of course you can. But there's a lot of ongoing support and feedback for the students, and I still rewatch the lives in the group and stuff when I'm wanting to grow and learn. So I think it's worth it. There's a discount code in the description box for 15% off too. So, and also there's a 20% discount for Colourarte. Anything in the Colourarte website site. I can't talk. In the description box, I'm gonna put down. Oh, I didn't show you this color. Well, I guess I kind of did. This is the Emperor's Gold, and it has a little solar flare in it. So like all the sparklies we're using today, and all the fluid acrylics pretty much are from Colourarte. And Australian Floetrol, there's a 10% discount in there from Pixel Paint Designs. Sometimes I kind of take for granted that you guys know all that is there. That's what I use for my Cell Activator. And she ships from the United States, so very reasonable. So don't forget to check in there. And I have other discount codes in there too for lots of things. Resin, other pigments, you know, check it out. So this is the Aspen leaf. I realize I'm just like going on autopilot. So I'm hoping that you're going to be able to see that color even better over that dark base. And we're going to use wax white boom gel instead of white. And I don't think I've used, sterling wax white. I don't think I've used this before. I've heard through the grapevine that the white tends to take over. So I'm going to try to use very little, but I've also seen pieces where it's used and it's really pretty. Mocha Rose from Colourarte. And so I did 2 things differently. I put the gold on the bottom on top of the black. I put the black at the very bottom instead of the top, although I had a little black on the bottom before, but I put a larger petal. I'm going to do the different cell activator, and I'm going to use a little bit of this Bordeaux color from Colourarte at the top for a pop of color. So I've thought about using red oxide because I don't think I've gotten to use it yet. But then I was like, well, then it's going to maybe make this more warm colored than I intended. I'm sure being generous with this. So I decided not to do too much extra. I even almost brought like a chameleon pigment that was kind of a goldish green, and I was like, yeah, but then that's gonna, like, this is still kind of earth tony. Now, if I really wanted to be fun, I would add some interference red or gold or both, but I don't have it mixed up. And then how could it be ugly, right? Like, I have this paint trying to slouch over here. Okay, so I'm gonna use Blue Black Cell Activator from Atelier. It's Atelier Interactive. I buy it from Blick. It seems funky, and I'm gonna use my hairdryer today too instead of my breath. So we're doing a few things differently, but a similar color palette. And I'm hoping for a win because I haven't really had time to prep anything else today. And I only have time to give it one shot, pretty much. And if it works, then we'll know. So I was watching one of Leslie's lives the other day from Colourarte, and she was talking about an additive in Floetrol, all kinds, because it's a paint extender that kind of continues to break down your paint to extend it. And I was like, I bet that's why Cell Activator is kind of crappy after after the first. Now I want to make sure we have enough of this, which is probably dumb. No, let me not. I was like, I bet that's why Cell Activator is kind of crappy after it's sat around too long, because I always try to refresh it with a little Australian Floetrol, but if it really is continuing to break down, that's probably why when it's not fresh, it's not very fun to work with. I may have just ruined this with too much of this, but I started to envision the rest of it being too dark and yada, yada, yada. Here we are. Okay, so I'm nervous. And I'm so close to all this paint, so I'm pretty sure there's a very good chance I'm going to blow stuff in the paint. But my hope, because this is a thicker Cell Activator, is that the Boom Gel does a good job of kind of breaking through it. So I'll explain that after I blow it out for those of you who haven't worked with Boom Gel before. Okay. Okay, cool air, low fan. Oh, wait. Oh, this is weird. That's probably gonna go on the side anyway. So not a perfect blow, but we are getting very nice cells out here. So let me talk about Boom Gel while this develops. Okay, so Boom Gel is an acrylic paint, but like in the container, it is kind of the perfect consistency for bloom. So I get my Boom Gel also from Pixel Paint Designs, by the way, the same place I told you about the Floetrol. So same discount below. But you can kind of just put it in just like that. You don't have to thin it down. It does not usually muddy with other colors, which is kind of unique. And oh my gosh, if the center develops, I love what's happening here. So super glad I poured over it. We just need to see how it's going to develop. But one thing that's kind of unique about Boom Gel is it tends to kind of keep reacting with your Cell Activator. So what I have found is you can kind of get away with using an old Cell Activator with Boom Gel and still have it respond with cells because of, I don't know what it is in there, maybe someone smarter than me knows, but it continues to, I mean, look at the cells, look at the cell formation on this thing. It is quite gorgeous, I must say. So we still have a lot of Cell Activator in the middle. And I put a lot down. For one, I wanted to see how it was going to do, and for two, I also wanted to make sure we had enough Cell Activator if the white really took over, like I've heard it can, that it wasn't going to eat through all of my Cell Activator and leave us none. So I'm just breaking the tension a little bit while I pop bubbles to see what's going to come through. There's a ton of bubbles for some reason in my paint today. Don't know why. It's super annoying. It actually could be in my actual colors and not my pillow paint as much, but there was definitely some in there. So this should continue to develop, especially after we spin, but we can't leave it too much longer. So Let me not blow it too much because I always end up with weird stuff when I do that. Okay, let's start to spin. And I think you'll see that the center will start to develop. We're already seeing some stuff peeking through. I already love this a lot. This reminds me of a bloom I did a long time ago with black, alizarin rose, which this color over these other colors, kind of this Bordeaux, kind of looks like, oh, I'm saying alizarin rose, crimson alizarin hue from Golden. Sorry, alizarin rose is a color from Colourarte. Anyway, I did it with black on the bottom and a red interference with gold sparkle, I believe. Gold sparkle is another interference with a larger particulate from Colourarte. And it just had some really interesting detail in it. Didn't have, I don't remember if I used white or not. So the only thing that bothers me is this one cell here from me maybe blowing too hard to break that surface tension, but that's okay, we can't be picky. But I am really loving this. Other than that, we gotta cover this corner though. Trying to just give it a little bit of a boost because I don't want to have like one negative space corner and no other negative space corners. That would be weird. Okay, we're almost there. We're gonna borrow a little paint from the side. Help it out a little bit, you know? It's just gonna go down the side anyway. Oh my gosh, I'm so happy I redid this. I know some of you guys are so sweet to tell me not to kill it. But we all probably knew it wasn't gonna make it. And this is better. Would you agree? It's different, but it's better. Okay, let's get that corner covered without getting this in my paint because it's literally right next to it. Got it on the table. Yikes. Okay, I'll clean it in a second. Okay, now this is still being really challenging here. You can't stay there. Uh-oh, that didn't help. It's like, you gotta go, you know what I mean? Okay. Okay, did we get over the edge? I think we did. Now we gotta just help it a little bit. There's not a lot of drippage here. Everything's thick today. So I'm taking what's left around the edge to kind of help the corners that don't have as much stuff. And I'm telling you, these stupid white measles are ticking me off. And I'm sorry that I can't pause you guys because my hands are covered with paint right now. So you will have to either patiently endure or fast forward this part. Ooh, I'm about to drip on this painting. Okay. Sometimes I have time to edit this stuff out, but I don't really have a lot of excess time, so sometimes what it is what it is, you know what I mean? So anyway, with Boom Gel, that's one of the cool things about it. For one, you don't normally get the mud. And I'm also super happy I tried it because the effect that I want from white paint underneath the Cell Activator, I'm getting without it muting my other colors. So super happy about that. The only thing that we're dealing with right now that is difficult is I can't get this edge covered. So bear with me just a second. I am doing my best to, I thought I had plenty of paint on there, but I guess it's kind of thick. So I'm kind of trying to take where the drips are and give them a little pillow paint to kind of encourage them to come all the way down. Even though I moistened the edges, we're still having that issue. So let me, my goodness, these white dots. Grrr. Anyway, I hope that this is not boring for you guys because I am so happy to have gotten a better result. This is much more what I was hoping for from that color palette. It's kind of a dark, mysterious, neutral tones. And the fun part is by putting that black on the bottom, you're kind of preventing your colors from being super muted by stretching out over all that white paint, because with a semi-translucent color, it can only stay so vibrant when there's no solid colors underneath it going across all of those, all that white paint. So I am just trying to make sure we have some coverage here on this corner, and then I'll move it back to the center and bring you guys down in for a close-up. Goodness, this corner. Ooh, that was aggressive. Okay, so these corners that are challenging me, I'm going to dab where it's just white. No, that did not look good at all. Nope, that did not look good at all. That was a bad decision. Hold on, let me see if I can fix it. This white corner I may have to like do something with later. But you know, the corners are not the main event. So let's give it one more spin here. See if we can't. Every single time I spin it, there's two huge like measles. It irritates me so much. So unfortunately, this time I actually didn't put enough paint, I don't think, to get good coverage, which is weird because normally I use too much paint. So that's unique. But I'm not gonna fret just because of the sides. They're not the main point of this painting. So, I mean, I have paint on them now, but it's not all nice looking. Okay, let me give it, so we did lose some of the really pretty stuff by having to spin too much because of our corners. So that's the delicate balance in having enough paint and not too much. But I still think it's way prettier than the attempt from the other day. And I know now that, assuming that this dries nicely, that I can use up those colors by doing similar things like this and get some pretty cool results. Maybe with a little bit less Cell Activator because we kind of had to overwork that middle, but I still really like it. So I would like to stop spinning, but I have to help this one corner a little bit more. And I may just touch up those places with a paintbrush because there's no way it's going to be fully covered. So I'm just going to give it one more good spin, and let me bring you down for a close-up. And yeah, pretty happy that I redid this one. Okay, so you guys will probably want to kill me, but I'm seriously thinking about pouring over this just one more time. Because there's stuff about it that I love, but because of having to over tilt it for those silly corners, we have like these giant voids. This stuff is what I love. And when we first blew it out, that's what we had. So hang with me for just a second. I know. But it has so much good potential, you know what I mean? So let's try again. What's really great though is I know I'm gonna like using this white though in the right places. So I know, I'm sorry. I know this is crazy, right? But I just had to give it a shot. I was looking at it and I was like, I love like how it started, but then the more we had to mess with it because of those stupid corners, which is my fault, I was like, ugh. And so I thought, well, I have enough paint to do one more and we might like it better. Use a little less Cell Activator, don't mess with the middle, you know, all the things. So let's give it a shot. I maybe should go ahead and put extra paint around the corners because of what we dealt with a second ago, huh? Because we have some paint on the canvas, but what a mess I am today. Okay. There's still stupid bubbles. Okay, so we're gonna use up our black, which is good. I'll mix up some more because you always need to have white and black mixed up, you know what I mean? But I do want a nice dramatic cuddle of it. Then we'll put our gold. Oh, these stupid things drive me nuts. And sometimes they're such defiant bubbles, like you poke them and they're like, nope, stand right here. Kick rocks, lady. You know, it's rude. So, whatever. The longer I go about this, the more picky I get because I know how I feel when I resin stuff that I wasn't that intrigued by. And, I mean, sometimes people still buy it. My husband saves a lot of paintings in this house. And he saved several that were purchased later. So sometimes it is good to listen to other people. In fact, several of you have saved paintings by commenting before I could pour over them as well. Okay, there's that. We're gonna do this. Oh, look at this color. I love it. And it's really quite lovely with these colors because that aspen leaf has kind of a raisin color about it. We're going to go ahead and use up the rest of our Bordeaux so I can make up some more. And because it's pretty. So I better like it, right? Because otherwise, no more Bordeaux. Anyway. And I think we used the right amount of the white the last time because we had a nice contrast without being too overpowering, but we had some nice cell coverage. What I like about that tidbit of white underneath the dark cell activator is you just get some really cool cells from it. I'm tempted to add more right here, but let me not. I need to put all this stuff away, not be making it more difficult. Okay, so we used too much cell activator the last time. So I hope that's about right. All right, now okay. Uh-oh. I'm trying to not blow over the same places, but I messed up right here. All right, I want to blow in here and help break it up, but if I blow too hard, we get the weird cells. So while we're going to let it develop for a second, we're going to pop a couple of these bubbles. We got much better blowout coverage. So I'm hopeful. The sides may still be problematic, but we'll have to deal with that. If we have a white corner, we have a white corner, you know? I can't destroy a painting over a corner anymore. There's so many beautiful cells right here that are going to flow down off the side. And they are. Like, the side is already covered. It looks really nice. But then we're going to lose them, you know? So I'm like trying to even out where the drippage is to help make it easier for some of these areas. Okay. Let's... I don't want there to be measles in the middle, but I also don't like to mess up the cells in the middle, so... Okay, let's spin. I love this one. Sometimes you just gotta be a pain in the butt and go again, you know? And the older I get, the more I don't want to waste time resining stuff that I'm not that wild about. Look at it! It's so pretty. And trying to help the corners. I'm telling you, what's annoying about square canvases is the corners. The corners are always like not covered. It doesn't matter how much you try to cover them, the paint just falls to either side of them, so you just kind of have to deal with the fact that they're not going to necessarily be like everything else. But we are getting better coverage this time on the sides. So I'm trying to just grab where there's blank stuff and let it help as much as it can, because I'm not going to ruin this one for the corners. But honestly, this is way better than the one we just painted over, so hooray. And let's give it another spin. We still have too much on the canvas, and the middle is developing pretty nicely. So also hooray. Sometimes you really need a win, you know? This stubborn corner right here does not want to flow off the side. It's the only one. And I just don't want a bikini corner, as Karen from Waterfall calls them, on the visible part. If it's on the corner, fine. but I don't want it like right there. So kind of wanted to force it off. Oh my gosh. Kind of have to pop those or they get worse. Okay, let's see, we need another good spin, maybe 2. And notice, like, we're not spinning super aggressively. You kind of want the controlled movement so that you're kind of keeping that tension. If you go too crazy on your spin, you're really kind of forcing things. That velocity, in my opinion and in my experience, sometimes makes your design wonky. Okay, I'm really happy with this as it is. I think anymore I'm gonna lose some of the cute tight little cells, which are my fave. And I just need to make sure we have enough paint off the canvas. So a good test is kind of to wiggle it. There's some sort of globby in my paint, but I'm gonna pretend I didn't see that. So you sort of just wiggle it a little bit. And if it's not jiggling, generally speaking, you're probably okay. So let me take off my gloves, bring you in for a close-up, and then I have to clean up the disaster that I made in here. But I am so happy I went ahead and poured over it. So thank you for sticking with me. I don't know if I'll end up doing a voiceover to make it shorter, but I appreciate you hanging out because I think this was worth the effort, in my opinion. So let me bring you down. Okay, so I'm super happy about this. Look at that. And I'm really happy with the way this white boom gel. This, I mean, you could get this result with paint too, but if you don't get your ratios right, it mutes your colors. But because the boom gel doesn't necessarily mix with your colors as much, I am loving it. And the blue-black Cell Activator almost makes it look like we used a really dark turquoise. I love this one. Look at these cells. This is what I was talking about. Oh, okay. Anyway, thank you guys for watching and enduring with me. What do you think? Was it worth all of the effort to get it right? Okay. Thank you guys. Talk to you soon. Bye.